Hey everybody, welcome to another one of our wonderful Facebook Live sessions. We are going to wait a couple minutes so people can jump on. Hello ladies, how are you?
Hello.
Good. Hi, everyone. Hi, guys.
If you are following along, if you wouldn't mind just shooting a note in the chat so we can see that you are watching us and that we are on your page. We are very excited to chat tonight with Dr. Jessica Madden, who is just a wonderful close friend of Project NICU. She has been on our advisory board since the very inception and is a local neonatologist to Cleveland and a pediatrician. Welcome, Madden.
Thank you so much.
And also, everyone might know Rochelle. Rochelle is our director of peer support. She has also been on our advisory board since the inception of Project NICU and is leading our director of peer support and all sorts of wonderful programming. So she's also joining us tonight. Welcome, Rochelle.
Thank you. Hi, everybody.
All right, I see that we have a couple of people have logged on, so we will get started, but this is just the usual casual conversation. If you have any questions, please feel free to drop them in the chat. We do have a couple of things to start off with, but this is really an open conversation and a chance to chat with Dr. Madden, pick her brain about anything and all things preemie and NICU related. She's a wonderful resource of ours, and we're very excited to have her tonight. So we'll kind of jump right into it, Dr. Madden. We were chatting offline a little bit before this, just about the concept of bonding with your baby in the NICU when you first get admitted, and one of the challenging parts and the things we hear a lot from our parents, whether it's in support group or our mentors or even just on Facebook, are parents, first of all, as a new NICU parent, the control is completely taken away from you, and feeling like a parent is really challenging, and not wanting to be in the way. So I know that that's a whole lot, but I just wanted to kind of throw it at you first to get started. Like, how can parents become involved and feel good and bond with their baby, regardless of gestation and how small they are? Maybe just some high level things from there, and we'll go from there.
Yeah, absolutely. I agree with you. So I've worked in at least a half dozen NICUs since 2003. And so I don't even know how many families. It's been a ton, a lot of families. And I was telling you earlier offline, the universal theme of so many moms and parents is that they do share that they feel like they are in the way of all of us. So that they feel like, if their baby's in an incubator and hooked up to leads and some type of breathing support, and the nurse is, providing, the nursing care, that the parents feel like if they're over kind of near them, they're in the way. Or sometimes when we do our rounding, which is when we come through as a medical team every morning to make plans and assess a baby, it's so common. Like, mom will kind of be sitting there right near her baby, and she'll be like, "Oh, I'm so sorry. Like, I'm going to get out of the way. I don't want to." And it's like, "No, like, please be here. We want you here." And that's just something that I've seen play out so many times through the years. One thing I want to make sure everybody, I want to make sure to say this at one point tonight, so I'm just going to go ahead and say it right now, is that we've made these amazing strides in being able to take care of premature infants the last 20 years. We have all of this technology, and we have all of these medical treatments, surfactant and CPAP and ventilators, and the whole gamut. But frankly, the most important piece of the care of every single premature baby is you, the mom and the dad. You are the core medical piece of what helps the baby get better and heal. And I feel my heart breaks when I hear families like that doubt that, or just haven't been in the environment where they feel like that's the case. And I just want to make sure that all of you know that that is so important and really is the heart of what we're doing.
Rochelle, okay. Dr. Mann, I have to stop you because, Rochelle, how many times do we talk about you are mom, right?
All
You are so important.
Mm-hmm. Yeah. And we always tell parents, Dr. Madden, that you know your baby best. And I don't think I think that is true for NICU parents, right? It is so hard to feel like there's space for you or there's a room for you to kind of share that with the care team, or like you said, just to feel involved or to not feel like you're just taking up space in the room, but that you deserve to be there. So that's so poignant. I love that you said that. I think that probably resonates with so many parents.
I hope so. And the other thing is you do know your baby's best. Absolutely. And it's funny now, the more I've been working in this field, like when I come in, say I'm on service and I'm taking care of a baby Monday through Friday, it's Tuesday morning and we hear that baby Jack got sick overnight. Okay. And I'll get a story of, well, what happened, what went wrong or what were the symptoms. And sometimes you just get not the clearest cut. It's like a game of telephone, where people communicate like, okay, this happened or this happened. And so a lot of times I'll just be like, well, what did mom say? Was mom there? And what did she think was going on? Like, was she worried about her baby? And 99% of the time, our patients' moms know exactly when they're going to get sick before anybody else does. It's absolutely incredible. So bonding and being there, even if your baby's too small and fragile to be able to kangaroo, talking to them, reading to them, communicating with us is so externally important, just to let us know what you're worried about, what you don't understand, what you're pissed off about and mad about. We need to know all of that because that helps us to take better care of your baby. So expressing yourself, it's so hard, especially, when I'm stressed, I have a tendency to close myself out. You go into like this survival mode. And I feel like, I don't mean to put extra pressure on my NICU families, but that's what we need, is you to be explicitly clear with how you're feeling and what you need from us so we can take the best care of your babies. I've had moms where we just write a notebook. Like, it sounds really stupid, but we just kind of keep, if like the timing is off or we're not quite, where it's just like, can you share with me, like once a day, like something that you need me to know and you maybe don't want to tell me personally. And it's funny, just through journaling and doing things like that, we've been able to make great strides with communicating.
Yeah, I think one of the things that I personally struggled with, and that we hear from others too, is you sometimes you don't know when rounds are, and you don't want to miss them. And if you have to use the restroom, or you have to run home to care for another child, or let a dog out, or you just happen to not be in there at the time they are doing rounds, sometimes it can be really frustrating to miss that such an important moment. You mentioned journaling. Is there anything else you can suggest to parents to make sure that they're being there? Are you FaceTiming now for rounds? Like, are there things that they can do if they can't be there right at rounds?
In almost every NICU, there should be the ability to be able to virtually connect during rounds or immediately after rounds and be able to talk like we're doing right now through FaceTime or Zoom or, whatever HIPAA compliant platform that there is. It helps me a ton when there are families, especially if I'm just getting to know them. It helps me a ton to have like that prompt, like make sure mom wants to be present during rounds. Because I have to say, like, if I'm rounding on 30 babies on a Saturday morning, I don't know that. You know what I mean? Like, sometimes you're just bopping in and out. But if it's explicitly clear again, like a lot of NICUs have like those kind of old fashioned whiteboards, you know what I mean? The dry erase. So some families will put like mom needs to be, there's a big signal to us right there. And I think that's important, but especially utilizing all the technology we have to have parents present during rounds is super important. And I encourage anybody, no matter what NICU, your babies are in right now, to ask and inquire into that. We default to FaceTime because almost all the time, even if like our Wi-Fi signal is not perfect, we can still get on FaceTime on a phone or a tablet, you know what I mean? Or somehow make that work for sure.
That's great.
Yeah.
Brooke,
I love it.
Brooke mentioned she loves, such a believer in kangaroo care. I think a lot of us obviously are and understand maybe once you're in it for a while, how important it is. But for somebody that's newly in and nervous about touching, kangarooing their baby, and can you just talk about the benefits of kangaroo care?
Yes. So the benefits are pretty well documented. So kangaroo care is just taking your newborn baby skin to skin against your chest. And it can be whatever duration of time. It doesn't even have to be for a super duper long time. But that is from a whole nervous system of the premature neonate, in cardiorespiratory system, breathing, heart rate, vital sign stabilization. That is the absolute best tool that we have to do that. In temperature, a premature baby who's cold, or maybe just in their isolate, there's been issues with them getting cold and warm. If you take that preemie and can put them right on mom or dad, because dads can kangaroo too. And it's awesome. We have more and more dads who are able to do that with our NICU patients. It really, in terms of the ability, again, they need what premature babies need for the most part is they just need time to grow and develop and heal. So when we look at that environment that they're in, they're unfortunately having to do it outside of the womb in a hospital environment, but we're putting them back with mom, and that's the absolute best that we can do to replicate what it was like when they were still inside of you. But it's incredible. Like, we'll have babies who are having like high heart rates. So a high heart rate in a baby, that could be from like 20 different problems. You know what I mean? Like, you could kind of go through, okay, is the baby getting sick? Are they getting sick with something? Or are they in pain? Or are they anemic? You go down your laundry list. And oftentimes you've got this baby kind of lying there that just has, it's a sign of like stress. And you put the baby on mom and just watch the monitor, and you just see this immediate decrease in the heart rate. And we don't have anything else that can do that. Like, there's no other way possible. And that answers the question a lot of time. It's just that they needed that's what they needed. Like, they're just demonstrating to us that that's what they need. They need just touch and comfort and warmth. And it just stabilizes them. It's incredible.
Mm-hmm.
My second son had a IV in his belly button because he had an infection for the first week. So I wasn't able to kangaroo him. But I remember he was having Brady's and his, desatting and all that. And I remember being able to put my hand just resting on his head, not stimulating, but just like resting it. And 2 times, he completely regulated himself. And I just remember feeling like, gosh, that's so powerful, right? Like,
it is, absolutely. And it's a lot of times it's like a rest. So you can sometimes just even the head, as long as they don't have like an IV or anything, like the forehead, the chest, the hand. And I'll tell you, one time, it was a couple years ago, we did have it was a very unexpected delivery of preemies who were 23 weeks gestation. Very unexpected, where a mom came in and they immediately had to be C-sectioned. And it came up to her NICU, they were really sick. Like, they were really, really sick. They were behaving like 23-week preemies who had been emergently delivered. And, we had 2 teams medically taking care of both of them. I was overseeing the teams. And for baby A, I'm still remembering, like, the whole baby A was over here and she was so sick. Like, we did absolutely everything, supporting her breathing, putting her on different breathing machines, blood pressure medications, the IVs in the belly button that you're talking about. And finally, I was like, I need her mom up here immediately. Part of it was because I was worried she wasn't going to survive. And the mom had just gotten out of a C-section, like, not too long before that. But amazingly, we were able to get mom out of the operating room, and they brought her up from recovery there. So I could tell her what was happening. And I was like, can you just hold her hand for me? And I'll tell you, like, this is where I told you I would start crying. So this super sick baby that really, I'm pretty sure, is about to die, we get mom up there to be with her. And mom takes her little hand. And this baby went from being like grayish, bluish colored, and you just watched her turn pink. Her mom put her hand on her, and her gray, it was like pink all of a sudden. And I was the same thing where you're looking at her blood pressure is better and her heart rate is better, and she survived. And she never would have survived with anything that we had to offer her neonatally. It was her mom. So again, her mom was what she needed, and her mom saved her.
What an incredible.
Cry.
Yeah. That's
Yeah.
amazing.
Yeah, it was like one of the most miraculous things I've ever seen happen, ever.
Mhm.
Yeah. So anyway.
Rochelle, what do you have next? I think you
Yeah.
have one.
So, Dr. Mann, just kind of, piggybacking off what we've already talked about. So many parents that we meet and that we talk about feeling really, kind of self-conscious or insecure, and maybe aren't sure how to talk to their baby's medical care team. Maybe the parent wants to get more involved with the care, but they're not sure how, and they just feel, again, a little awkward about having those conversations. So kind of, I guess, from your perspective, as a care provider, what might you say to that parent? What can that parent do? How can they be more involved in a hands-on way? How should they, ask or talk to the nurses, therapists, neonatologists? How should they approach that?
So one thing that can really help families, it's a little bit NICU dependent, but typically there's always going to be involved in the care of your baby NICU nurses, who are there all at a time. But then you also, depending if you're in an academic center or not, you might have pediatric residents or an intern or a nurse practitioner. There's some member of the team. The ways that it progresses, I think, the most smoothly is if there's somebody on that team. It doesn't have to be the doctor. It doesn't have to be the nurse. But encouraging families to find someone that they feel comfortable with that can be the one that they share and open up to. And usually, I hate to say if they look hard enough, but if they, after a couple of days there, you kind of like notice that feeling you get, the energy from people of like, okay, like I like, and I hear all the time, like parents will share things with me, like, I love this nurse and I love this nurse, but I don't want this nurse, or your residents suck. Like, I don't ever want them. And that's fine because we're not all supposed to get along with each other. But I know when a family gets to that point that they're comfortable telling me that, I'm like, this is awesome because like you're opening up and sharing that with me. But find somebody. It could be one of the respiratory therapists or, somebody at all. And that can usually be the bridge to help us to then, they'll share that information with us in a safe way so that then we can kind of become on the same wavelength as our patient's family.
I remember one of my sons. I remember Dr. Madden, one of my son's primary nurses. Her and I just sort of clicked. They were all so great, but this one in particular, our personalities, I think, were just very, very similar.
Yeah.
And she really was supportive with that. I would kind of talk to her after rounds were over. If I had questions, she would explain things more. And then I would just kind of express to her, right, questions that I had or kind of goals or wants that I had for that day. And she would either acknowledge them right then and there, or if she didn't have the power to do that, she would always find a way to sort of bring it up to the care team, and just in a really, it's comforting. So yeah, that's a good point, just to find somebody.
Yeah, to find somebody. And sometimes it's surprising. Like it was so funny. I had an intern the last couple of years, and he was just really socially awkward, like a quiet, kind of guy, not like a people person. And it was him. He ended up being there and bonding with his patient's family. Like it was incredible. It was so unexpected. But again, that was they were on the same wavelength. And it was really cool, but it was surprising. I'm like, wait, what? Like you're talking to these people? You found out all this stuff. So I guess keeping an open mind, you know what I mean, with everyone who you meet too.
Yeah.
Is important too. The hardest thing that we have in terms of when we look at that ability to communicate, by far the hardest is when family circumstances are that they have to be on a totally opposite visiting schedule from us. So we do have some families, depending on what shifts they're working or their home responsibilities, they can never be there during daytime rounds, or they can only be there, you know what I mean, at like 2, 3, 4, 5 in the morning. Those can be really, really hard because the practitioners and the doctors taking care of the babies in the NICU at night typically are not the same people who are there during the day. So I think that those are situations it's important for us and if families are able to try to find at least some middle ground in terms of, okay, like we're going to have a good conversation, you know what I mean? Like at least twice a week or something, or somehow try to mesh your schedules up to at least be able to communicate a bit. The communication is so important. I don't know if I answered your question or not. I'm sorry.
Well, no, I think that leads into kind of our next question, which is, some of us want to be at the NICU 24/7, right?
Right.
Some of us can physically and some of us can't physically, but at any rate, you should take a little bit of a break, right? And, for yourself to have some time to regroup and keep yourself healthy. I think that was one of the best pieces of advice I ever got from a nurse, after day 3 of like no eating, no sleeping, just being miserable. She was like, you won't be allowed in here if you're sick, and you're going to get sick if you don't get to some rest, and I think that kind of helped shift my mind. But, what are some things, and one, Rochelle, I would love for you to tell your story about when Kevin was out of town and what did you do to help him stay in touch with Noah during when he was gone, and just like what can parents do when they physically cannot be there to still keep the bond, and if they can't be there every day. Maybe Rochelle, you can.
Yeah, you want me to go? Okay. So my husband was, he's self-employed, and so we had a lot of flexibility that a lot of families don't, unfortunately. But we were really lucky for the first month and a half. We were both able to be at the NICU just about all day, every day. But then, life had to go on, and he had to kind of go back and start working again. And so there was a period of time, it was a few days, maybe 3-4 days, where he wasn't able to really be there because he was working and it took him out of town and whatever. And so I had recorded his voice on my cell phone and just played it for Noah. I just put it right next to the isolette and played that for him. And it's something that seems so small, but just knowing that your baby hears your voice, I know it's comforting for the babies, right? We know there's a lot of science behind that, but I think it's so comforting for the parents too, especially for dads, right? I think dads struggle in different ways than mom sometimes, because mom is so there and pumping, and there's a lot of focus on mom, and dad is forgotten a lot of the time. So I think there are really beautiful, simple little things like that we can do, right?
Yeah. No, absolutely. We and that's one thing that families can do, definitely, is the voice. There's more and more families that will record, for the baby too, so that there's a voice and an image. And some NICUs, not where I am right now, they have like the NICU cams, so that parents can log in from wherever they are and at least be able to see their baby, which I think is really great too.
One of the things that we're recruiting more seamstresses, if we can get some more. But one of the things that we try to send whenever we can get them are the scent hearts, NICU scent hearts. And if you are in the NICU right now and you don't actually have one, you can make one very easily. But it's just a piece of fabric that mom takes home and sleeps with, and brings it back and puts it near baby, or even the burp cloths or things like that, the swaddles that you can swaddle while you're holding, just anything to get that scent. And dad too can use it. I know that those were very helpful. Ours was like this, the shape of like a gingerbread man. But I know those are very helpful. And then there's this wonderful organization that we've recently connected with called Finn the Panda. And it's this little panda bear, and it's got a scent heart on its belly, and you can record a story or a message or anything you'd like to kind of play next to the unit. Of course, if your NICU allows something like that, but just little ways. Parents can be really creative, in connecting. But have you seen anything else besides that's helpful when you can't physically be there? You mentioned photos. Is that something that people do?
Some will put photos, depending on how stable the baby is or the NICU you're in, almost like propped up around the outside of the incubator, so that parents can see photos. lots of like drawings and paintings and artwork from like older siblings. Families, I think it is really cool. One thing I've noticed more and more is families like picking out like a playlist or soundtrack for their babies. So like, you know, there might be a baby every time you come in, it's like a Broadway musical playing, and that, you know, they realize, they figure out that's what their baby likes the best, or we have a lot of Disney songs. Sometimes it's totally unexpected. Like it'll be like, you know, a family of no idea, and it's like country music, and that's just what they picked out for their baby. So I think things like that are really cool too. But I think one thing that you said earlier was about, yeah, the importance of sometimes leaving. So you were talking about the importance of leaving, but then Rochelle, you were talking about what happens when you're leaving for this long gap. Like it's not just like a day to go home and shower and refresh and stuff like that too.
Yeah, Pam, I was the exact same way. I didn't leave. I didn't take care of myself. And if I could say something to myself now, then, you know, I would tell myself to go home and to sleep and to feed myself and to rest. You deserve that so much. And
Yes.
it's hard to give yourself permission to do that, but it's so important.
And I really like the way Mom said that her nurse like told you that basically that was so important. I really like that was how that it got across to you.
Yeah, because you almost, you know, it's very hard. Like like for me, my nurses and doctors, the first 2 days, like first time mom, unexplained premature birth, I was just like anything they were saying, like whatever you say. Like I don't know, you know, but I was like in such a fog, just like staring at this baby that I was like, when am I going to wake up from this nightmare? And I mean, you can see it in our photos, like the first 2 days, I was just like so sunken in. And the only thing that was going to get me over that was somebody telling me that I was actually going to cause a reason not to be able to be there, right? So not if I wasn't going to take care of myself, then I physically was not going to be able to be there. And that was that got through to me. And so I share that with other NICU parents that I talk to, because you do beat yourself up. You know, you know, if you're not there. I mean, I'm sure many people listening or you know, that have gone through this experience, anytime you had to get up to pump, you probably called the NICU to find out how everything was going. And then maybe you'd feel bad about calling the NICU like 4 times during the night, you know? But you do have to take a break. It's so important for so many reasons. And I'll never forget that. It was, and I actually don't even remember which nurse it was because there were so many at the beginning. It was super important to me, and I think it's great advice.
Yeah, absolutely. It's easier when the weather's nice. You know, in Cleveland, you know our weather. Well, hopefully not everyone watching is in Cleveland, but our winters can be kind of rough. It's a lot easier in May, June, July, August to encourage at least just get outside. You know what I mean? Like, just go for a walk and somewhere for a little while, as opposed to when it's like 20 degrees outside in a blizzard. But
I want to read a couple of these that people are sharing, because I love this. You know, Jamie, she said she read the entire Harry Potter series while she was there. It was one way she bonded and allowed her to not always feel like she was just sitting there. She got involved in the story and would come home and read so I could stop thinking all the time, which I love that. Really cool. And Megan talks about, you know, one of the hardest things was having no space or privacy during such a hard time. You know, a lot of things are set up differently. I know at Rainbow there's private suites.
Yeah.
And so Rochelle, you had a suite. I didn't. I know there's benefits to both, right? You know, having privacy is challenging for sure. You know, I don't know. Rochelle, do you have any? Can you say anything about that, or Dr.
I don't know. I mean, even having a private room like I did for the majority of our stay at Rainbow, you still don't have privacy, right? Because you're in a glass fishbowl. And in a lot of ways, you don't want the privacy because you're afraid. You're afraid of, you know, being alone with your baby. You want to make sure somebody can always hear you and see you. So it's really, really hard. I think that when appropriate, and this is kind of what I was getting at earlier, Dr. Madden, I think parents, I felt this way too, but I've also heard it from a lot of other parents that we talked with. they feel awkward or afraid to tell the nurse, hey, can I have 10 minutes, right? Can I just be here and pump, and can I put the screen up, and can I just have that moment? Is my baby okay for that? Is there anything that you need? Can we do the hands-on care now so that I can have 10 minutes before I go home for the night?
Right.
Um, I mean, I've always felt welcome to do that, but
Yeah.
it took me a long time to get there. You know, you have to build some sort of confidence, and not all parents are as outspoken as I am by nature. So, I mean, is that appropriate, do you think, to just ask your nurse, hey, can I have some time? Can I just be alone with my baby? Can I kangaroo privately for, you know?
Yes. And I think that there's a lot of nurses that you wouldn't even necessarily have to ask that, because you know what I mean, that would be assumed. But at the same time, you know, there's a whole spectrum. The cares don't have to be exactly 3 hours. You're 100% right. Like, it can be shifted 15, 20, 30 minutes. A lab doesn't have to be drawn at exactly the time it's ordered, and a feed doesn't have to start immediately. There's flexibility in almost all of the cases. And again, I think somehow I'm so glad that we're able to have this dialogue for multiple reasons, but one, just to open up this communication, to try to see, like, how can we improve how we're taking care of babies and families and moms and dads and everybody too. But I think your example you're giving, like, that is what would help most families would get to the point that they're able to advocate for themselves and their babies, like you did.
I agree, Rochelle. And I was at Fairview, and we did not have private rooms. And I think one of it took me a long time to find my mom voice, where I could just go start a care session, towards the end, when I knew I was allowed to take a temperature and things like that. Always asking for permission. And I think it's a really, it's hard on your ego and your feeling. And, think, again, what you mentioned earlier, Dr. Madden, about finding somebody that you can connect with to get the permission that you need, yourself, that will tell you, hey, you're allowed to do these 3 things, and, or whatever. And just having that open dialogue is something that we try to encourage parents. We want parents to know, like, Dr. Madden saying, tell them, like, tell the nurses. I think that's super important. I want to jump to Penelope really quick, because she's talking about something that's really challenging right now. She's dealing with having a baby in the NICU, in times with COVID. Feel like I want to stay home away from everybody. She had a family dinner, and a few tested positive. She wasn't allowed in the NICU for 14 days. She gets to go back on the 16th. She's tested negative, but she still has to wait, and it's been terrible. Have you had any personal dealings with that right now? And what kind of advice would you give to parents that have to stay away, or even, with the new COVID world?
Yeah. I don't mean, it's so challenging, this situation right now. The fact that knowing that Penelope couldn't see her baby for 14 days because of that, just thinking about that situation, like, mentally and emotionally and psychologically, is an absolute horrible position to be in. I think that what we know with COVID, and we can talk more about COVID a little bit later too, is it's not going anywhere. And in a lot of parts of the country, it's going to get a lot worse. And I get asked about it a lot, and I hate to say it. I really hate to say this, but I think if you've got a preemie in the NICU this winter, that the absolute best way to prevent those situations from happening is just to not be associating with other people in person, as little as possible. Like, you're going to have kids, and they might be in school. There's things that you have to do. But when we look at all of that normal bonding with our extended family, like Thanksgiving, and Christmas, even if your baby's not home, but in the NICU, I think it's the year probably to opt out of those things to prevent the exposures. Because chances are we're all, it's going to happen, and it's nobody's fault. But it's going to get worse before it gets better. It really is. I wish I had an answer. I wish that there was a way that the protocols could change and we could screen faster, but we're just not there right now in the US or really anywhere in the world.
And Penelope, we're just so sorry you had to
Yeah,
experience that. I mean,
absolutely.
thinking about what it was like as a NICU parent myself, you know, just the internal trauma that it was to just leave for the night, knowing that I was coming back bright and early the first thing the next morning. That experience, you know, was so hard. I cannot even, I really can't imagine. But I know that you're not alone. I know that unfortunately, this is sort of what current NICU parents are going through over the last several months. And we're sorry, you know.
And we've had families where like a parent tests positive and they have no idea, you know what I mean? Why? And then they can't come back for a couple of weeks or it's playing out like this all over the place. But yeah, I think it's just being as absolutely, utterly cautious as you can be right now.
I think one of the things that you had told me about a while ago, Dr. Madden, is sometimes you write prescriptions for parents, right?
Yes, I do. Yeah.
And I love that.
I used to do it all the time.
I love that. And I think that in this case, for not only current NICU parents, discharged NICU parents, and even parents with NICU graduates that are, you know, under a certain, you know, couple years old, ask your pediatrician to write a prescription to send to your family that says, you know, this Thanksgiving, we'd love to Zoom with you. You know, this Christmas, you know, we'd love to do a drive-by, you know, just to, if you need the backing, you know, from your medical provider. I know Dr. Madden is happy to do that for her patients. I'm sure that pediatrician would do that, especially at a time like this. I know we talk about this a lot during RSV season, which is right now.
Right. Which is starting now too. Yeah.
Rochelle, you want to talk about coming home?
Yeah. So so Dr. Madden, you know, kind of upon coming home from the NICU with your baby, once your baby has graduated and you're coming home, you know, parents are coming down from such a obviously hard experience, a traumatizing experience with a lot of separation involved, right? Having to leave your baby, situations like Penelope's that we just talked about.
Right.
Keep with that in mind. What are some ways for moms and babies, dads and babies, and just the family unit as a whole, whatever that looks like for your house, to spend time once they, you know, they have gotten home after this whole experience to sort of, you know, begin to bond in a new way and to reconnect and to sort of start to live like a family.
Right.
Yeah, for me.
Right. I think that the best way to approach it is to not put pressure on. I think if you put too much pressure on yourself to try to fix things or heal things really quickly, that it oftentimes will backfire when you're having a premature baby, you know, in the mix of all of it. So I think that there's a lot of different ways for that, but I think it's really to reconnect with your spouse or your partner. It's really small amounts of time. Like, it sounds crazy, but it's like dedicating 10 minutes just talking to each other face to face once every 24 hours. That's it. That's like what I don't know, like that's what the experts say. That's the magic. It's like 10 to 12 minutes. That's all. And that's something that I think is doable for most, you know what I mean, most families. Or if you hug, it has to be 20 seconds, I guess. Like, that's the magic formula for it. I've been doing it. I don't even have a new baby at home. But just during all this other stress of this time, I literally sit there and I hug my daughter for 20 seconds, and it feels so good. I do the same with my husband. But it's like small little things. It's not putting pressure on yourself like, oh my gosh, well, you know, you've got to go out to like dinner, you know what I mean? And kind of get back to normal right away, because your life isn't going to be normal ever. There is no normal. Like, you're adapting to a new normal. But just it's like really small things like that, or like watching an episode of TV, like even if that doesn't seem, you know, like you're just, and you can have the baby with you while you're doing that. But I'm reading what Heather wrote. 10 minutes can be hard. And it doesn't, Heather, it can be 10 broken up minutes too. So you can break it up into chunks if you need to, like 2.5 minutes at a time. And I don't have any like great other than the more that you put pressure on yourselves to overcome and get through and process something like this, the more that it's going to backfire. So keeping it simple, really.
Super.
And,
oh, go ahead, Pam.
I was just going to say, and connecting with others, right? That are going through have gone through a similar experience. You know, we've about connecting with our partners and our other children and things like that often. And I think it's just knowing that those challenges are not unique. Like this is happening to everybody right now, but especially our NICU families that are just getting home too.
Right. And the other thing that actually I've had moms share with me is I've had quite a few moms where they've had their baby prematurely who's in the NICU, but at the same time, they've had a really good friend have a full-term baby who's not in the NICU, or, you know what I mean, a sister they've had someone close to them, so they've got their preemie versus full-term, and they're hearing all this blah, 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 like my baby is doing this and is this much weight. Just don't listen. I'm like, just back, like, if what you're hearing and kind of are making you feel good right now, like you don't have to, you know what I mean? Like it's not a comparison game. And I think a lot of that, I could totally see this happening to me too. And I think that I don't think unless you've been in the situation of having a premature baby or having someone really close to you or working in a NICU that you fully can get it at all. I think if a lot of well-intentioned people just totally don't get it. Like they think, okay, the baby is just small and has to grow and is going to, you know, and there's so much more to that too.
I know Rochelle could go on. We could go on and on about this because we talk about this in our groups and even just, you know, amongst each other as friends. But, you know, just knowing that when you do go home and you do get discharged, all of the things that you're feeling, like the comparison game and all of those things, like, you know, you're not by yourself, like you are not alone, you know, and it's super important to be able to, you know, connect with groups like others that can get you there. Dr. Madden, you know, I want to just one more thing about discharge. How often do your families that get discharged connect back with you, and how wonderful is it to hear back from families? Do they connect back with you often? Like, I think it's one thing that I know families would love to do more, and maybe, you know, what's your recommendation there? Should they send pictures in, Christmas cards? Like what's good for that?
Anything, it doesn't matter. Like there's no right way to do it. Oh my gosh, like I have some families where it's like we're connected on social media before they even leave. You know what I mean? And I have other families where it's like 8 or 10 years down the road, I get a message and I'm like, oh my God, like, I can't believe this. And now some of my preemies are like late in high school, you know what I mean? Like at college. There's no right or wrong way to do it. We love at some point, the most rewarding thing is to get a picture, like even a little tiny card saying, hey, we're thinking of you guys, or here's an update on Annie, you know, and telling us, but something, but it's not a force. It's not mandatory. You don't have to worry about going home from NICU and being discharged and then 2 months later. It can be 2 years later. It could be 10 years later. But something. But if you do want to keep in touch with someone, that's fine. Like just let them know that. Like I'm always open to it. I don't know. Like I might be weird, but I give people my cell phone number and email and, you know, certain families just because I know. Yeah. And I'll tell you the funniest thing about that, I don't know how much time we have left, is that it is like such uncanny. When I've had the absolute worst like experience in the NICU, like I've had a patient die or it's just been a really rough week, I will inevitably get like an email or a message or a reach out from one of my former families just saying hello. And I'm like, thank you. Like that is, because you know what I mean? When you get to a point where like, I just can't do this, or I'm so stressed, or I want, it's like the universe somehow knows, and you just get something like a little, like, you know, like keep going, like you're making a difference. So I don't know. Yeah. I mean, it on our board. We have like all the photos and a board up of all the babies. So yeah.
Well, I love that. And I know that we tell you this often, but you are making a difference. And I know you're tell you that. And I think if there's one theme that we want people to know coming out of this conversation is that, you know, our neonatologists and our nurses are real people and they can be talked to like a real person. And you can tell them they want to communicate with you, even if you feel like, you know, intimidated because you're hearing all this medical jargon, like, you know, just say Dr. Madden Jess, you know,
like,
you know, XYZ, like whatever I think that's something, again, that I wish I would have learned earlier in my journey. We try to tell people so much now, like they're real people, you know?
Yeah, and we can take that. Like, you don't ever worry about offending us. That's like the least of a worry for a NICU parent. You are not going to offend us. You really aren't. No.
I love that. Rochelle, do you have anything else before I ask Dr. Madden to close us out with anything else?
No, I mean, other than, I love what you just said, Pam. Just to simply add to that, like we said earlier whenever we first started, you know your baby best. You are an essential member of your baby's care team. You are mom, you are dad. I know that when you are actively in the NICU, and to be honest, for a little while after too, it's really hard to feel like a parent. It's really hard to experience motherhood, fatherhood while you're going through something like this. But you are a parent. Your voice matters, your intuition matters. And just like Dr. Madden said, you're not going to offend anybody. Speak up and advocate for yourself and for your baby. There's space for you there. It's a team effort. We know that's easier said than done for sure, but you're supported in doing that.
Yeah. And just find the people you're comfortable with to bond with and get to know is really important so that we can all communicate.
Yeah.
Well, thank you so very much, Dr. Madden. We so appreciate all the time that we ever get with you. It's so wonderful. And, you know, we are right in the early beginning of Prematurity Awareness Month. So we're going to continue to do our parts in making sure that our community has the resources and tools to be supported, but also spread awareness about prematurity and signs of prematurity and things like that. And we've got a whole bunch of other great events happening this month. We do have a dad support group on Friday night, this Friday. So if anyone watching has a dad or a partner that is interested in joining, you can find that information on our website, on our social media. We have a NICU Storytime reading on Saturday by the author of Go Preemies, which is a really cool book about all of famous, impactful people in history that were actually premature, which is very cool. And then our next NICU support group is next Wednesday evening, and we have one every week. So there's always a group out there for our NICU community. Dr. Madden, thank you so much. Everyone is saying thank you so much on our comments. It's on our page for people to reference back to, but we really do appreciate you. Is there anything else you'd like to say tonight?
No, I'm always honored to be here. I love talking to you guys, and thank you for all that you do too.
Oh, thank you, Dr. Madden.
With you guys.
Thank you guys so much, and we hope everybody has a really good evening. Penelope, thank you. We're thinking about you and sending love your way. So, thanks everyone. Bye-bye.
Bye.